The following program is rated TVMA. This program may contain strong opinions, explicit language, and possible adult themes. The opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the Smoke Free Radio Network or its affiliates. This program is meant for mature adult audience. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
That was interesting.
Hey everybody, Mike Peterson back with another episode of Vaping and the Mic. Tonight we have a completely different setup. I've been very, very grateful for Bill Tarling, who has helped me out tremendously in getting a lot of this set up. Completely different look, completely different software program. It has become a race against time. And I've gotten what I think nailed down all the way, but I won't guarantee it. The one thing that I know that I'm going to have to do here in just a couple of minutes is, because I've got everything going on, I'm going to have to go back and go to the Blog Talk Radio section and make sure that I have it set to run for an hour or so, because I think what I did when I clicked on it was only set it for a 15-minute show, and God knows that's not going to work. So we're going to take care of that kind of as it goes along. You might hear it spit and sputter, but we are going to have the phone lines open this evening. Here in a little bit, we're going to have Bill Tarling join me on everything that we've got going on here. It's a crazy kind of evening for me. I apologize if I am all over the place. It's just pretty wild. There's so many things going on. Two things that we're going to talk about this evening. And my main gist before I bring Bill Tarling in, we're going to talk about, I actually set up a meeting with a retired police chief, because I had some questions about, we talk about T21, we talk about flavor bans, which, if you think about it, a flavor ban is more to kill vaping, but is pretty much predominantly just to help step past whatever a T21 isn't covering. So we've got all of that. And when we talk with Bill Tarling, we're going to talk about Canada. Or not Canada. We're going to talk, see, I'm thinking Bill Tarling and I'm thinking Canada already. Oh, Canada. We're going to talk about California, because there are some alarming and disturbing things that have come out of California in the last week that I'm not sure if everybody's paying attention, or they don't realize, or they're not seeing what is really going on. And this is to prove that California gives zero anything about public health. And I think we have enough material to prove it. I'm going to tell you what, I'm noticing something right away already. Let's turn around and turn this guy off. That way it doesn't look like I've got a spotlight sitting in my face. Okay, I can live with that a little bit better. So, as I was mentioning, I sat down and spoke with, and I told him I would not use his name because he was gracious enough to sit down and talk with me. A retired police chief here in Ohio, and I needed to ask him some very serious, very direct question about underage not only material, but underage possession, if you want to talk about that. We hear an awful lot that is going on, and we turn around and we hear or we talk about people saying they've raised the age in so many places, the T21, from 18 to 21. Okay, somewhere in all of that, I don't agree with it, but it has become such a fad for so many places that it has become a rolling piece of manure, really. But the underlying issue is not did they sell it to a 20-year-old, a 17-year-old. You pick up a kid, and I use that word. You can say minor if you want to. I'm going to say kid because I'm 50 and I've earned the right so far. You pick up some kid that has a pack of cigarettes, and the police go rolling by, and even if they busted him, what do? They sit there and they go back to mom and dad. Oh, hey, we caught Johnny with a pack of cigarettes. We're just going to write it up and keep track of this. And meanwhile, what's mom and dad do? Johnny, you shouldn't be smoking. You're grounded. And that's it. Now, some parents, I agree, would absolutely have a meltdown and take corrective action with their children. Is that the predominant case? No, it is not. Not at all. It's not the predominant case for any of it. And so I sat down and I was speaking with the former retired police chief. And he'd been on the job for quite some time. So in my questions to him, I was able to be told the law, where the law content comes in. So when I was asking, what does the law say? I have somebody that was integral with law enforcement quoting the law to me. And when I asked him about other things, it became his personal opinion based as a retired police chief. So get this straight for anybody that's going to be watching this and anybody that's going to be listening to it later on. This guy, perfect, unassailable, did one hell of a job. I mean, one hell of a job. He gave me the truth, he gave me the law, he gave me his opinion, and then he gave me counter arguments just for me to think about. So let's start with, we'll say, little Joe Public, minor, 17 years old. Little Joe Public turns around and has a pack of cigarettes, or he's standing on the street corner and he's having a smoke, right? Guess what? Police car goes rolling by, continues rolling by. Even if they know that little Joe Public is 17 years old, that police car is going to continue to roll by unless they're absolutely bored or unless there is a drastic problem to where many citizens have called and said, hey, there's minors standing out here smoking. Now, if only one citizen turns around and has a problem and calls the police, here's what he said. He said, we will come out. We will write up everything that's going on. Chances are we're going to let the minor go. But we'll take your statement. It will go on record. It will go back to the police department. And chances are it will get filed away and never see the light of day again. Ever. Let's say that I was the person that was calling. And I call 13, 15, 20 times because I'm really hot. I'm really pissed about this. And I call that many times. Former police chief turned around and told me, you know what you're going to be labeled? You will be labeled a nuisance. And chances are, the next time that you call, they're going to ignore you, or something else might happen. Dependent upon the type of township that you live in, you may be creating more of a problem for yourself than you would be in actually getting anything done. Now, that floored me. And I asked him, I said, "You're serious?" He goes, "No, I'm drop dead serious." He goes, "The only way that it's going to get any traction..."
90 seconds.
Yep, there goes our wonderful Blog Talk Radio. I'm going to take care of that in just a second. Here's the thing. If many people call from the public, then they have to do something about it, and it becomes more of a real issue. Okay? And he said the only way that you are going to change a lot of this is in the court of public opinion.
60 seconds.
Yeah, 60 seconds, yes, sweetheart. So, here's the thing. I turned around and I said, fine, let's say, just for grins and giggles, that you did turn around and pick up little Joe Public for smoking. He's broken the law. He's in possession. Now, there is no law that it's not a finable or ticketable offense. So what they have to do is they have to put him in the cruiser. They have to take him down to the juvenile detention center. Then they have to call the parents. Now, while they're at the juvenile detention center, they have to fill out all the paperwork. They have to sign the kid in. They have to put him somewhere where he's safe and not bugged by all the other kids or inmates.
10 seconds.
All the kids or other inmates that are in there. And then, when the parents get there, they have to sit down, have a counseling meeting with the parents. Then they have to fill out the exit paperwork just to let little Joe Public go. And then they have to finish out their own paperwork. And again, this is not a finable offense. She goes, do you see what becomes the issue or the problem here? And I said, yes, but I want to hear it from you. He goes, so, we picked up a kid for smoking. We took him downtown. Couldn't book him, but we wrote the paperwork up. We have to keep the paper trail. We created more paperwork for 2 or 3 other people that are there. He said by the time the whole thing is done, when that paperwork is filed, it will have passed through anywhere between 12 and 15 different people's hands. And that's 15 different people that have taken their time to take care of that issue. I said, okay. He goes, multiply that by how many times you see an underage in possession of a tobacco product. He goes, could you imagine if the local police force are doing nothing but going around now and picking up all of the underage kids that are smoking? He goes, you're creating a problem. And I asked him, I said, can you explain that? He goes, so we're picking up all these underage people for possession of tobacco products, standing on the street corner and smoking. What are we doing about the other people that are physically breaking the law? What about the domestic disturbance call that we missed because we were picking up the kid that was smoking? How about the armed robbery that we missed because we were downtown at the Juvenile Justice Detention Center because we were picking up the kid with smoking? He goes, how about the car accident that might have been avoided if we were out patrolling? He goes, so now we've created a compound issue. I said, no, what it sounds like to me is that you are massively understaffed. He goes, now you're starting to see the picture. He goes, you're concerned. He goes, I don't blame you. I would be concerned. Because I talked to him about T21, flavor restrictions, the flavor bans, all kinds of things. So he understood what my framework of actually doing this was. He understood. And it became more of a point of saying, what do you put and what do you put as number 1, number 2, number 3? He goes, how important is your underage smoker compared to a bank robbery, home invasion, domestic disturbance, husband beating his wife, a wife beating her husband? He goes, where do you put that? And which one do we answer? We only have 5 guys out in the nighttime. Which ones do you want us to take care of first? He goes, so what's your order of importance on this? And I said, okay, just humor me. Humor me to the point to say, let's say that for 24 hours, 3 days, let's say to hell with all the other things and pick up every kid that's out there smoking. He goes, we're going to inundate the juvenile justice detention system. I said, okay. He goes, do you know what the judge in the juvenile detention system is going to tell me? And I looked at him. He goes, stop doing that. I have better things to do with my time. Are you effing kidding me? Okay, I can partially understand that. But now let's turn around and let's talk about something different. We have a 17-year-old who is smoking on the street corner. He's breaking the law. He's in possession of something he shouldn't be. Okay? Politicians are going absolutely apeshit bananas about it. He doesn't get anything. But the 17-year-old kid that has an ounce of weed where I live, that's a finable offense. He's going to jail. Plus, his folks are getting notified. 17-year-old kid commits armed robbery. Holy shit, he's going to be in big trouble. 17-year-old kid abducts somebody or assaults somebody. Those are all things that he would go. The same 17-year-old kid can stand there on the street corner having a smoke, and they don't, it's not that they don't care. It does not hit the top 10 things of what they are actually trying to do. And I said, all right. Let's talk about this then. I said, citizen's arrest. Former police chief started to laugh at me. He goes, let's talk about a citizen's arrest. He goes, the only time that that's going to hold water is if a major felony is taking place. Bank robbery, armed robbery, murder. He goes, anything outside of that, it's going to be thrown out of court for lack of evidence, and you can't prove it. It becomes a he said, she said. Nobody's going to care. The judge will throw it out. I said, all right, what happens if I go talk to a judge downtown and ask him these same kind of questions? He said he's going to tell you the same thing. If I start getting all of these kids coming through, even the judges in the major courthouse are going to say, I like your enthusiasm. Please don't do that. We have other things that we have to do. And I looked at this guy and said, again, you're kidding me, right? He goes, no. He goes, you understand that our local court system is actually backed up anywhere between 4 and 14 months in trying court cases that are important, that are felonies. 4 to 14 months of a backlog that they're still wading through every single day. He goes, where are you going to fit your underage smoker into that? Well, shit. Now I'm starting to sit here and I'm starting to get a little bit upset because I see a problem. I understand where he's coming from. And there's not a damn thing that really can be done about it. He goes, don't think that way. He goes, one man can change the world. He goes, but you have to find the spot where you're actually going to apply your pressure. He goes, you can't just run around and be upset. And you can't just run around and say, I'm angry as hell about this. I'm angry as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. He goes, you're going to run around and he goes, you're going to die of a heart attack because you're angry. So I said, what can I do? He said, the only way that you're going to get this, he goes, even if you were to go to the local council, a senator, a congressman, and even if you were to go to any of these people, they're going to turn around and they're going to tell you how many other people agree with you. I said, so what you're saying is how many of the constituency, the people that vote for. He goes, now you're starting to clue yourself in. I said, okay. He goes, I'm going to give you a case in point that's going to talk about a few different things. He said there was a case that broke open. There was an offense of a store that was selling something they should not have. They busted this place, hauled him in, wrote the tickets, fined him. It was going to be like $1,000 fine. He had all the paperwork, all the proof, took it down, hit the prosecutor with it. Prosecutor looks over the entire thing, says, I'm going to throw this out. I'm not going to try this case. Police chief was livid. He goes, why? He goes, we went by the book. We have everything done right. Why won't you try this case? He goes, 2 reasons. He goes, first, we have to send all the material out to have it sampled, checked, and make sure that it's actually of the illegal variety, not your garden variety stuff. He goes, that cost alone is going to be $1,200 just to have the testing done. He goes, then you're going to add in the time that it's going to take the county prosecutor to prosecute this. He goes, so you've got $1,000 fine, and it's going to cost us $2,200 to prosecute and put this away. He goes, who's coming up with the other $1,200 to pay for this? He goes, is it coming out of your budget for the year? I said, are you effing kidding? He goes, no. He goes, I'm not kidding at all. So you can see, this is, we talk about T21, we talk about all the things that are going on with underage kids and jewels and tobacco and God knows what else. There is no single easy answer to fixing any of this issue. And I do mean none of it. There's no easy way to turn around and say, oh, hey, by the way, here's an easy fix. We'll just turn around. He said, look, he goes, this underage that you're talking about. I said, yeah. He goes, that actually belongs to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, which now has a connotation of explosives. So the BATF is the one that actually has jurisdiction to go in and bust the shops, to give the shop or the store, the convenience store, the fine, and to really put this in perspective and create a solution. He goes, here's what happens. He goes, BATF, they've got a list of where they're going to be. They'll take the manpower and roll into a town and go through 10 or 15 different stores and check to make sure that they are compliant and check to make sure he's doing these things. And they'll be there for about 8 days. And then all of a sudden, all these BATF folks go wrap up and they go somewhere else in the state or in the next state over, and they do their little thing over there. He goes, so when they're gone, it goes right back to business as usual. If the store can, manage the fine. I said, so what you're telling me is also the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms is also understaffed. He goes, massively understaffed. He goes, they don't want the budget for it. He goes, people don't mind spending the budget for the war on drugs. He goes, but they won't fund the BATF to enforce the laws we already have. He goes, it's okay for us to go ahead and spend billions of dollars on the Army and of different military branches being overseas, doing things in Afghanistan. He goes, but you turn the street corner and you've got homeless people sitting right over there. He goes, doesn't that make you a little angry? I said, we're reaching a max tolerance of angry here. He goes, but now can you see what kind of problem that we really have? He goes, we are underfunded, understaffed, incapable of enforcing all of the laws all of the time. And I said, okay, what do we do? He goes, prioritize and try to keep a balance on what's happening. He goes, so if you want to change how things are doing in your underage, he goes, change the public opinion. He goes, it's going to take time. You're not going to do it overnight. He goes, you want to make a change? He goes, go ahead, stop in at your local church, stop in wherever there's a gathering of people. Start talking to these people. Start explaining the things that you're telling me. He goes, take 30 minutes once a week and go talk to a group of people. He goes, if you get enough of you guys out there doing this same thing, public opinion will change. He goes, it's a grassroots effort, and that's the only way that you're going to get your stuff done. He goes, think about it. And even he mentioned it. He goes, okay. He goes, so you called, and 25 of your friends called, maybe 100 called the congressman for your area and talked about vaping and the things. He goes, meanwhile, 18,000 other constituents called and complained about road work and taxes, complained about the lack of capability at the hospital, complained about different things. He goes, so where is the congressman going to put their attention on the number of constituents pleasing the most people that he can? All right. One more thing before I go to do any kind of sponsors, and then before we go to hit Mr. Bill Tarling. I asked him, I said, can I ask you a real zinger of a question now? He goes, you can ask me anything. I said, is it true that police write tickets because they have a quota system? He started laughing. He goes, farthest from the truth. I said, really? He goes, I'll prove it to you. He goes, the two biggest causes for automobile accidents are speeding and assured clear distance between vehicles. He goes, that's why we write so many speeding tickets, because that drops down the number of accidents that happen. He goes, second, and more importantly, he goes, the more tickets that are written, and it is, and he would tell me if I wanted to go look at it, the number of tickets, if the number of tickets written are very high, believe it or not, there's a direct correlation between the crime rate in the area. The more tickets written, the less crime is happening. He goes, so I'm not out there writing tickets just because I want to write tickets and because I've got a damn quota. He goes, I'm working hard to keep crime in our area down. I thought that was just interesting as anything. All right, folks, we're going to see if we can bounce over here to check out our show sponsor screen. If it breaks down, I'll apologize. If not, we'll be back after this message.
Hey now, this is Dimitri with Smoke Free Radio reminding you to please show some love to our wonderful sponsors. Without them, there would be no Smoke Free Radio, and they are as follows. All the way from Florida, Moon Mountain Vapor, with locations in Florida, and their liquid available for wholesale and retail, moonmountainvapor.com. Some of the best custards and tobaccos on the market from the Brickwills Vaping Company. The lovely Shell with a vapor bar. Locations in Texas, Virginia, and West Virginia. And of course online at thevaporbar.com. And who says you can't have award-winning e-liquid without cartoon characters? That's exactly what you're going to get at theplumeroom.com. And finally, of course, the Vaping Advocate magazine that has generously provided the telephone lines for you to communicate with us. Thank you for your support. And finally, for you, the listener, don't forget to check out the coupons and codes page on Smoke Free Radio. Pick up some e-liquid and save some money. From all of us here at Smoke Free Radio, thank you for your continued support.
As I mentioned earlier here in the show, special guest this evening is going to be joining me is Mr. Bill Tarling, who is coming in from his place up in Canada. How you doing this evening, Bill?
Good to see you again, Mike.
Same with you, sir.
Quick little thing. When you have the tagline of the old guy and crazy guy, I hope I'm the crazy one. I'm not old. I mean, some people may have been expecting Phil Busardo. Now, I know I'm not as old as Phil Busardo, and I'm definitely not as good looking as Phil Busardo. But hey, folks, Pete Busardo here. I don't even know the Skechers.
Oh my God!
Timmy, Phil, Mike made me do that.
Oh, bullshit! I didn't. Bill and I named this show "One Old Guy, One Crazy Guy" because I originally put down. I said we got two crazy guys or two old guys. That's what it was. Two old guys. He goes, "Hey, look, you're old. I'm just crazy." I said, "Yeah, fine, whatever." Oh Lord, Bill, you're killing me. Bill.
Well, one of these days, you're going to have to get an actual guest, because I can tell you right now, I'm not a draw for an audience. People don't want to hear me. They hear enough of me.
The show this evening was, honestly, it is ironing out so many things. And honest to God, I appreciate your help and all the time that you've helped put in with all of this. Because, folks, we changed software and went 180 degrees in a very different direction. And if it wasn't for Bill, I wouldn't have been able to put all of this together. This software program is called OBS, and it is not the system resource hog that Wirecast was. I love Wirecast, but it would cripple and make my PC cry if I tried to do everything that I'm doing right now. My PC would have melted.
For Wirecast, you pretty well need something a lot higher end and a lot newer.
And Dimitri has it. Dimitri told me he's got, just the blown out system from hell. I'm like, all right, and his connection speed is just, oh my God. But anyhow, Bill Tarling is here because we want to take a few minutes and talk about some of the things that are happening in California for...
Actually, would you mind if right before we get to California, you mentioned something about your whole opening? I could have told you a lot of that myself as well. It's very normal and understandable. And that's why, like, you'll even hear me saying, well, the kids, they go, what's 21 going to do to make me obey a law that I'm not obeying now? Because there are no consequences for them.
And that's my whole point.
Yeah, but he's absolutely right. One, besides the manpower, there is in most states, most provinces in Canada, most cities and bylaws, there is nothing they can actually do. All they can do is take them to their parents, and that's about it. Or take them down to juvie, in which case you've got an even bigger nightmare. And you're going to take away so many man hours away from things that actually need to be taken care of. And I absolutely agree with him about if one person just keeps phoning. The reason they have the nuisance laws, let's say you have a neighbor whose dog is barking or whose cat's there, and so you're phoning them every 5 minutes, and again, it's tying up the lines. And so that's why they do have to prioritize. So one kid smoking isn't going to do much. Now, the problem is we need to start using that example of here's why it's not being enforced.
Yes.
So when they start saying, okay, we have to start enforcing vaping and against the vape shops because these kids are getting it, we have to start putting forward to them, by the way, do you realize that nothing is being done with the kids? And some of the states have actually even said, well, we don't want to prosecute the kids because that will go on their criminal record. And therefore there should be no consequence to them.
Bullshit.
And they don't want to go after the person supplying them because they go, well, then we'd have to try and track down who they're talking to and so on. And the easiest way for us to do it is go after the shops, the vape shops that aren't selling it to them, but you might have the convenience store that is, or you might have somebody else who is. And face it, there are some vape shops who will sell to minors, and they should be run out of business.
And that's
what I'd love to see.
The amount of C-stores, though, that is selling and doing the underage stuff is so small compared to vape shops.
Whenever they run their stings, and you look at the list of here are all the shops that we did, and they provided e-cigs to minors. If you notice on them, you're lucky if you see one actual dedicated vape shop. I don't mean a head shop or a pawn shop that also sells vape products. I mean a specific vape shop.
Yes.
And like I said, there are a few out there, but they're almost always C-stores. But then again, there's only so much they can do there. So they go, but if we put the onus and the blame on the vape shops who aren't selling it to them, but the public thinks that they are, then at least the public thinks that we're doing something.
And that's the whole thing. And that's why he was telling me it is a court of public opinion, whether I like it or not.
So what we need to do is think of it this way. In a big city, let's say New York, you're not going to get any action. But look at what they did for all the anti-vaping groups did against us. They went to all the small communities first, past the T21, past the flavor bans, and then the next city does the same thing. So these are all the small communities. You start getting about 20 or 30 of them, then they say, you know, there are a lot of us here. You should make this a statewide requirement. So what we need to start doing is, in those small communities, that's where you might be able to have a local police force. If they're only covering 5,000 to 20,000 people, they know who lives in the area. They know who the kids are already. So it's not like everybody's a stranger.
No.
So what you can do is start going after them. And I don't say criminally charge them, but one, they should be given authority to say, fine, you lose the product. Hand over all your vape devices, each of you. Now, that's not going to stop them because they'll go out and get more. But you start doing that 4 or 5 times, and pretty soon it's gets, oh, shit, not again.
Yep,
I just got this. Or this is my dad's. You can't take it. Hey, you're going to have to explain to your dad why he just lost his $200 device.
And that's the court of public opinion. Yeah, because that kid's not going to be able to turn around. Mom, Dad, I need my allowance raised. Why, Jimmy? Right.
And where's my device? I don't know.
The dog ate it.
So you start getting the smaller communities. And what happens there is then, and it takes time, but look what the ants did to us. They took the smaller communities and it starts steamrolling. So you take the really small ones, start having that enforced there. And I personally, I would love to see every vape shop licensed as a vape shop, not a tobacco license, but licensed as a vape shop. You cannot qualify if you're a C-store or anything else, but if all you do, like your, let's say 95% of your business is the e-liquid vape products, then you can go for the license. That way, if they're selling to underage minors, you can then say to them, that store's selling to them, they got their warning, they got their fine, third strike, hey, you just lost your business license, you're no longer allowed to sell these products.
Exactly.
Now, for the convenience stores and gas stations, let them sell the closed systems, the pods, their jewels, their IQOS, and everything else. They don't need instructions for them. They're just buy and go. And that way, it separates that from an e-liquid vape shop. And then we can start saying, the reason you need the e-liquid vape shop is we also educate them. We worry about safety. We try and follow up with it. And we do not let the kids here. And again, if a shop decides, hey, we're going to let some kids in here, they can lose their license and then they can no longer, then they're out of business and a problem. You haven't got the problem then. So all these things, whether it's Juul or IQOS or any of these other closed systems that they get their hands on, then, hey, that's C-stores, convenience stores, that's their problem. That's under the tobacco. If it's a vape device, where did you get it? If they got it from a specific shop, that shop can be fined if it can be shown that, yeah, they did cater to them, or if it finds out that, okay, we got it from the parents. Well, your parent just lost it, and we'll give them a call, and we don't need to do any more because dad's not going to be happy. Mom's not going to be happy if they have to buy new devices. The other thing you can do, and I don't like doing this because I hate the idea of, by the way, this was, and like I said, you do this in a small town. This was a student who's been spreading around devices or carrying around devices and all this. You might want to take notice. The school can then go and say, we want to check the locker. Okay, you got this stuff. You've just lost it. So just start taking it away from them. If it's a repeat person or if they're the ones supplying it to others, then you can say, fine, you must now go do a 30-minute presentation in front of the school, in front of your school, and in front of the other schools, explaining what you did. And so put a bit of an embarrassment factor to them You're not criminally charging them, but you're putting a bit of an embarrassment factor. Now,
Yeah.
kids are going to be kids. They're still going to vape. We know that. You know that. I know that. Everyone knows that. But
I guess,
bonus where it should be.
and that's it. That is the one thing that just absolutely floored me, is because there is no consequence for underage possession. There's no consequence for that kid that's standing there vaping, smoking. You know, they are not legally allowed to be in possession of this product.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but here again, now the flavor bans are starting to kick in, and they're using those even more, not only to steamroll T21, but to drive all of the vapors. And again, I think I read this in a report somewhere. It's like 83% of vapors said that they would go back to smoking if the flavor ban hit.
Yep.
Well, now we roll right into the lovely California deal. California. And Bill, you've got a couple of graphics, and I'm going to put you back on the focus. You've got a couple of graphics that talk about taxation in California.
Yeah, this is just to give people an idea. Why is California going after this? Why are they going after vaping? Well, if people stop smoking, when they cashed in a lot of their bonds from the master settlement agreement and so forth, they basically owed a lot. And they weren't able to meet the amounts that they owed yearly. And so they're going down deeper and deeper and deeper. So if you remember the huge tax battle where they got to tax, not only increase the tax on tobacco, but also on vaping. Well, once he did that, you start shutting down businesses. You get people going back smoking. So they start smoking, and plus the taxes on those are higher again. But to give you an idea, this is from 2016. In 2016, the whole year, they brought in about $704 million in tobacco tax for California. That didn't meet their master settlement agreement for the bonds that they had already taken out. So they were losing money there. In 2017, you'll notice about the third quarter, it suddenly jumped up, go back 2016, third quarter was $205 million. Third quarter of 2017 was $700 million. And fourth quarter was almost $1 billion for the last 3 months of 2017. Why? That's when the taxes kicked in, all those new taxes. And again, if you can get rid of the vape shops, what are people going to do? Go back to smoking. And now the taxes are higher. There's your revenue. We can cover our bills now. That is why they don't dare let smoking continue. 2017, and like I said, it was only the second half of 2017 where it really kicked in, and that's where they really started collecting money. But they brought in over $2 billion there.
And that's just in taxes, in taxation.
Yeah, that's the tobacco tax revenue for California.
Now, that's just about the same time that they were crying about not being able to do things, that they were underfunded, that they were all these other things. And in speaking with Fig Ramsey at one point, it was ironic because with that $2 billion taxation, now they spend like $200 to $300 million on basically anti-vaping campaigns and flavor bans.
Their self-promotion to keep people smoking. And even when the way they sell it to the public too is they go, think of all this money. We can put it towards the healthcare, and we can put it towards solving this problem. That's not where the money goes, though. It gets such a small pittance. It's ridiculous.
That's true. And here's part of what caught my attention. And I wish that I had the piece to be really be able to put it in front of people, but I don't know enough about the software to do it yet. Wednesday of this week, California reissued $1.7 billion, not million, billion dollars worth of tobacco bonds. So they are getting $1.7 billion into their budget by selling these bonds, which the majority of those bonds, 1 billion of those, is not due until 2037. is when they start.
And it's the same thing they did last time, which is why they didn't have enough money to pay it back. And that's why they had to go, we need the money, tax everything.
And
we'll
it.
say it's saving the public. And right after they got that money and were able to just cover the basics, okay, let's go board again.
And here's the thing. For the people that don't know or haven't paid attention or are unaware, the tobacco bonds are repaid by the money from the Master Settlement Agreement. Now, the Master Settlement Agreement money comes from, wait for it, how many cigarettes were sold. So, in order to make sure that they can pay these new tobacco bonds, which are going to be due in 17 to 20 years, which, ironically, if you think about it, did nothing but kick the can all the way down the damn road, so that none of the people that are in politics now, it's not going to be their problem. It'll be the guy that they turn around, and now they have to pay for this by the amount of cigarettes sold in order to pay for the bonds that they are getting the money for today. And they know that the smoking rate has been dropping larger than previously anticipated. So you tell me, general public, how are they going to make sure that people continue to smoke and not use a product like this? Oh, wait, we'll create flavor bans. Mm-hmm. There are anywhere between 35 and 50 cities that have either already passed a flavor ban in California or are contemplating. And they're not little ones, folks. They are San Francisco.
Once you have enough of them, then you'll see this in different states. They've done it with T21. They've started doing it with the tax. They've started doing it with flavors. We have so many of our communities. We've all passed this. It should be passed statewide.
And they're doing it statewide. And it is. It's a steamroll coming. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they started crying about their taxation. And then they said, well, we're worried about the kids. We're worried about the kids. We've got to take care of them. So let's raise the age to 21 to buy tobacco. Now, there was a thing in here and I'm glad that he put it in here. Mike Felling put in, and I'll read this to you. It's in the chat. He said, did you know that the age to buy tobacco was raised to 18 in 1987? And before that, the age was raised to 16 in 1980. He said, I wonder what it was before 1980, if there was even an age limit before that. So sort of puts the whole T21 into a different perspective for me. And my God, that's wholeheartedly true. I mean,
even when I was a kid, like when I was about 6 years old, my grandmother was a heavy smoker. She only smoked one brand. And she used to send me to the store, and I'd go to the store and here's what she wants. And so they gave me the carton of cigarettes, and there you go. And there was none of that.
Yeah.
Like
you went down, you picked up a pack of smokes for grandma, and, well, if you bought two and you only handed her one, that gave you one to put in your pocket, and off you went. And see, this is where I get stomping mad about it, because I didn't start smoking until I was 19. Okay, I told
you
people
were a
before.
late bloomer.
I'm the squarest, whitest guy on the face of the planet. I've never done drugs. I've never tried weed. I've never a lot of things, okay?
You've never had coffee?
I don't even drink coffee, dude. Honest to God, I don't. I drink tea and Diet Pepsi. Yeah, square.
You're still getting your
square,
caffeine, though.
white. Oh, are you kidding? Caffeine, nicotine. You think I'm going to give those up? Hell no. But here's the thing. I see this coming to where they're using the flavor ban to do more to increase their taxation. They don't care about the damn children. If they cared about the kids, they would tell them, you know what? I might rather see you vape because at least you're not going to die of lung cancer from this. But do they? No. And that's the Phil Basardo rant. 100% on track right there.
Have you ever watched the documentary Merchants of Doubt?
I don't believe so. What is
It
that one
says,
about?
Watch Merchants of Doubt. The first time you watch it through, you probably just watch them. They're going, well, they're talking about oil companies, they're talking about environment, they're talking a little bit about tobacco companies and so on. But then go back and replay it, and every tactic and technique, whatever issue they're talking about, replace that word with vaping. And you'll see that all those companies, and including the FDA and the government, they use the Tobacco Playbook 101 techniques. And the Tobacco Playbook is a real technique playbook that has been written up. And one of the things you do, it talks about in Merchants of Doubt, is they've got the guy admitting that if we haven't got an argument, but we need public opinion, we just say it's to protect the kids. And they go, yeah, but your industry has nothing to do with kids. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If we say you have to protect the kids, and if you don't agree with us doing this, you must be against the kids. And so people just go, oh no, I'm for the kids. So yes, I agree with you. And that's how they use it. It doesn't even have to have anything to do with their industry or topic, but it's the easiest way to get public opinion, because if you disagree with them, you must hate the kids. And that's how they use it.
That's just insane. And it drives me up the wall. And it's part of the problem that I've been looking at, and I have been. And it's a golden rule in my home. And I'll try to delete the explicatives. If you're going to complain about something, do something about it. If you're not going to do anything about it, sit down and shut up. So, one of the things
I've been saying about California is right now, with all the flavor bans and all the other flavor things, it's interested in visiting us in beautiful California. Come on down. If you're a vapor, get the out.
That's it, too.
I don't want you. Unless you go back to smoking, then come on in.
That's what San Francisco, Oakland, San Mateo, I don't know how many little places right around just in the Bay Area, Hollywood, they're moving into LA. I mean, they're hitting the big places where there are smokers everywhere, and they're hitting these with flavor bans, more than just T21.
Yeah. And if you don't think that they're specifically going after vaping for a reason to get people back to smoking, look at New York. Well, first of all, California has set precedents. So New Jersey's using them as precedents. New York's using them as precedents. Massachusetts, Minnesota using California as precedents. We need to do the same thing locally. And where are they doing it? Small communities. The one where everyone knows each other and it's easy to get it passed.
And that goes right into what the police chief said.
Yeah.
Change public opinion.
Now, everyone's so focused on, we got to change this at state level. How many people are actually going to their local council office, their mayor's office, go to your local, when they've got the bylaws, they can pass a bylaw without any notice. As a matter of fact, there was, for the California, for another flavor ban, there was a great big meeting that was supposed to happen. They were going to discuss it. They decided to postpone it. What's that going to do? The ants will gladly postpone and show up. Vapors will be, oh, well, I had already rescheduled for that day and they didn't hold it, so I don't know if I'll be available for the next one.
Yeah.
And they'll just forget. And they can just keep, if it looks like a crowd is going to show up, we'll postpone it again. And soon enough, vapors will just go, I can't be bothered.
Yeah, I don't have time.
That's when they'll actually hold it.
Because no one's there to back it out. All right, I'm going to get ready. We're going to wrap up for this evening because it's going on 8 o'clock. And here's something. Now.
Oh, quick question.
Go for it.
Your discussion with the police chief or the former police chief.
Yes.
You said you asked him an important question at the end. You forgot to mention his other answer. You did ask Steven Tyler or Snoop Dogg, right?
No, I did not.
I'm disappointed.
I should have asked him because he would have chuckled, but unfortunately he doesn't know much about the vaping industry. He grilled me for 20 minutes about T21, Juul, other products, vaping, because he knows that we are a manufacturer. He grilled me for 20 minutes after my meeting so that he could walk around and tell people the truth. And I thought that was awesome of him.
Yep. One more quick proof of why they're going specifically after vape industry. Look at New York, where they've started banning the shops, started pulling them out, cutting out licenses, getting rid of them. They're looking at flavor bans. And in the same week, they'll go in and we're approving the cannabis. Why?
Yeah.
It brings in money.
Former police chief, the retired police chief, and I talked about that in Colorado. He goes, sounds great. You got weed running around. It's recreational. It's a wonderful thing. He goes, they've had more driving impaired issues than the public is ever aware of.
Yep.
I went, oh shit. He goes, we won't talk about that right now. He goes, that's a different issue. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, this is Bill Tarling. Bill runs the Vape Distortion group for, and if I'm not mistaken, you have it, the vapedistortion.com?
Yeah, vapedistortion.com will take you right to the Facebook group.
That Facebook group Bill loads with, it is not a chat, point, counterpoint, anything. It is simply an informational portal. Okay.
What I try and do is I try and keep track of the international vape issues and events worldwide, because what happens in one area can affect us as well. And again, just like right now, the ants have moved to the UK using the US and Australia as examples. Canada used Australia and US to get vape rigs passed on us.
Yep.
They ignored UK because they're in support of it. Ireland is now looking at, hey, we've been looking at UK. You know something? It's working for them. We need to reconsider unbanning this stuff. So what happens in one place happens in another. All I do is I just try and keep track of some of the latest articles, so that if somebody has their own Facebook group or page, they see something they can just quickly grab it and discuss it on their board. So it's not really a discussion board. I try and keep it to, here's some issues happening so that people are aware of it.
And that is a fantastic thing, because you inundate that group with so much information. And I'll tell you, honest to God, folks, I'm in Ohio. Akron, Ohio is about an hour away from me. Now, Bill is in Vancouver, Canada, all the way on the effing West Coast. Bill knew about a T21 before I did, and I live in the damn state. That's how much information he's getting across.
All I do is I just try. I mean, I get a lot of the information from a lot of the other groups too. And a lot of it I don't post. There's a small group of people, some of the main advocates and so on. If I find something that doesn't really fit the group page, I still pass on the message to them so that they know what's happening in the tobacco industry and everything else, because they'll see how it ties with us. So even though it doesn't directly influence the vaping, I try and help to keep.
And it does. He keeps all of us educated, without a doubt. Bill, I thank you very much.
And you will have a real guest soon, right? Because I am not an audience draw. People are sick and tired of hearing and seeing me.
For the people that are just kind of listening or haven't hit the first show ever, the very first show that I ever did, I thought that my guest that I had would be a little more talkative or a little bit more. And I only had a very finite amount of questions because it was the first show. I was nervous as hell. Didn't have my feet, nothing. And here it was at 25 minutes after the hour, and I'm supposed to do an hour. Here it was 25 after, and the guest is hanging up, and I'm going, and thank God the phone line lit up, and here's Mr. Bill Tarling, and he helped me finish the rest of that first show.
I was hungry and wanted to order a pizza.
You know, honest to God, that still gets me because I did not know it was you, and I thought somebody was calling in. I'm like, oh, my God. How am I going to explain to this old lady that I can't send her a fucking pizza?
What people don't see is the how much I get you laughing right before the show to kind of break your concentration.
He kills me because then I'm like, how am I going to remember to get this done or get that done? Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, this is Bill Tarling. Bill, thank you so much for joining me this evening. And I will catch up with you here again in just a minute. I'm going to finish out the show. There's one thing that I want to be able to talk about, and I'm going to wrap the show up with it. When we talk about flavor bans, and they're telling you that they're saving the kids, and they're telling you all of this garbage. Attorney General out of Iowa said if you hear somebody saying the Juul is a teenage epidemic, he goes, they're lying to you. But this, and again, this came out of Vape Distortion. It was from the mercurynews.com, okay? And they're talking about Saratoga, California, and the flavor ban. And this Saratoga councilman named Howard Miller, I want you to remember that name, Howard Miller, because I'm going to start banging on him pretty damn hard. Check this out. During the flavor ban and the discussion of, he wants to get rid of, he said the flavored tobacco ban would apply to all forms of tobacco, including traditional and electronic cigarettes, chewing tobacco, cigars, pipes, and hookahs. His menthol seems to be the cigarette of choice for many working class people, so we decided to leave it as an adult flavor. Tell me again, Councilman Howard Miller, how is that even close to saving the kids? If I had you on the phone right now, I would be calling you everything but. I would be polite and still call you councilman, but the names that I would use after that I don't think would be very nice. Menthol seems to be the cigarette of choice for many working class people, so we decided to leave it as an adult flavor. Folks, if that doesn't strike you as 900 pounds of bullshit, I don't know what's going to. With that, I am going to call it a night. I appreciate everybody joining me for this evening. Again, special thanks to Mr. Bill Tarling for not only helping me set everything up that I've gotten done so far, but filling in and helping me talk about California. Again, this is me, Mike Peterson, Vaping in the Mic. Next week, we'll have another guest at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be able to get everything tuned into Spreaker and the Smoke Free Radio Network. This show will be live or uploaded as soon as we can turn around and grab the audio from the show. But until next week, I hope everybody has a great weekend.